The greatest duel in Star Wars history never happened, yet the pieces were all there. Darth Vader, the galaxy's most feared enforcer, spent decades obsessed with destroying the memory of Anakin Skywalker. That obsession eventually tore a hole in the Force itself. This is the story of a dark ritual on the frozen plains of Hoth, where the Dark Lord commands a battle against the three people he hates most: his former master, his former apprentice, and the Jedi Knight he once was. By 3 ABY, the Galactic Empire's grip on the galaxy is absolute, but Darth Vader remains a prisoner of his own past. He stands on the bridge of the Executor, staring into the void, while ghosts that refuse to fade haunt him. The dark side thrives on pain rooted in specific faces: Obi-Wan Kenobi, who left him to burn; Ahsoka Tano, who walked away; and Anakin Skywalker, the weak man he believes he destroyed. Vader decides he must do more than kill memories to fully ascend, so he resolves to crush them in combat. He orders his fleet to the Hoth system because the planet's isolation and sub-zero temperatures create the perfect conditions for a dark side ritual mentioned in ancient Sith texts. Hoth is more than just ice, as Legends lore suggests it harbored deep caves where Force energy could stagnate and pool. Vader descends alone to the planet's surface to find a natural crystalline cavern that amplifies his connection to the dark side. The temperature sits at 60 degrees below zero, which creates a cold that mirrors the void inside his armor. Here, he begins a ritual of Sith sorcery, similar to the magic Dooku used, but fueled by Vader's raw self-hatred. He pours his rage into the Force, reaching across time and space to tap into the world between worlds. His goal is not to travel back, but to pull the essence of his targets forward. The wind howls and the ice cracks as three figures materialize from the mist. The mist clears to reveal three warriors, confused by their sudden displacement. First is Obi-Wan Kenobi, pulled from the weeks leading up to Revenge of the Sith, as the master of Soresu. Next stands Ahsoka Tano, taken from the Siege of Mandalore, wielding her dual blue blades with the agility of Form 4. Finally standing apart is Anakin Skywalker. This is not the boy from Tatooine, but the hero with no fear at his peak right before his fall. He grips his lightsaber while sensing a disturbance so profound it sickens him. They look at each other, then at the black-armored giant towering over them. Vader ignites his crimson blade as the hum cuts through the howling wind. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications before the lightsabers clash. We examine deep Star Wars lore scenarios like this every week. Let's see who strikes first. Vader does not attack immediately. His voice, amplified by his helmet, booms across the ice as he points his blade at Anakin. He commands him to destroy them and kill the past to save her. Anakin freezes because the mention of Padme strikes his core weakness. Obi-Wan steps forward, sensing the dark side radiating from this armored figure, while Ahsoka adopts a defensive stance. She is confused by the signature she senses because it feels like her master, yet cold and dead. Vader twists the psychological knife deeper by using the Force to cloud their minds and make them see enemies where there are friends. Anakin ignites his blue blade in desperation. Vader actually wants Anakin to win, only so he can kill him personally afterwards. Anakin strikes first and launches himself at Ahsoka. This is a clash of Form 5 variants between Anakin's Djem So, focused on raw power, and Ahsoka's Xian, mixed with Ataru acrobatics. Ahsoka knows his moves because she learned them from him. She flips backward to dodge a strike that shatters a pillar of ice. Anakin is relentless, and his blows land with the weight of a hydraulic hammer. Ahsoka struggles to deflect the sheer force of his attacks. She is fast enough to weave through his guard, but Anakin is the chosen one for a reason. He anticipates her spins and catches her wrist with the Force to throw her across the snow. He fights with the desperation of a man trying to save his wife. A blue blade intercepts Anakin's strike before he can land a follow-up blow. Obi-Wan Kenobi enters the fray and absorbs Anakin's power rather than trying to match it. Obi-Wan's mastery of Soresu creates a perfect defensive circle. Every angry slash Anakin throws is parried with minimal effort and slides harmlessly off Obi-Wan's guard. Obi-Wan yells for Anakin to stop, but his voice is barely audible over the wind. Anakin is too far gone and fueled by Vader's dark influence. The three of them are now locked in a struggle where Anakin attacks both while Ahsoka tries to disarm him, and Obi-Wan simply tries to survive. Vader watches unsatisfied because the fight lacks the visceral quality he craves. He wants blood. The Sith Lord ignites his blade and leaps from the ice ridge to land in the center of the triangle. The impact cracks the glacier beneath them. It is now a four-way battle where Vader targets everyone. He swings his blade with one hand in a display of arrogant power. He batters Obi-Wan's defense with a strength that makes Anakin's look like a child's. Vader's cybernetic limbs allow him to generate force that no biological human can match. He kicks Ahsoka mid-air, sending her sliding, and force chokes Anakin to lift his past self off the ground. The dominance is terrifying, as this is what potential looks like when realized through pain. Anakin breaks the chokehold with a telekinetic blast of his own. He lands on his feet and stares at the black mask. The manipulation breaks for the first time. He looks at Vader and sees a nightmare instead of a commander. He sees the trapped existence and the coldness. Anakin whispers, asking if this is what he becomes. The realization hits him harder than any lightsaber strike. Vader hates that Anakin still has hope and flesh and a choice. Vader lunges with a roar of hatred. Anakin meets the charge as blue clashes against red. It is a battle of the same soul fighting across time. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka realize the truth, that the enemy isn't Anakin, but the monster commanding them. They flank the Sith Lord, and the dynamic shifts. It is no longer a free-for-all. The legendary team of Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka is united against a single threat. Vader finds himself on the defensive as he blocks a strike from Anakin while ducking a swing from Obi-Wan and parrying Ahsoka's dual strike. Even a Sith Lord finds this overwhelming. Anakin's ferocity, combined with Obi-Wan's precision and Ahsoka's unpredictability, creates an unstoppable force. They move in sync with a bond forged through years of the Clone Wars that even the dark side cannot sever. Vader has weaknesses despite his power. His suit limits his mobility and prevents him from using the acrobatic Ataru moves he once knew. This becomes a critical flaw on the uneven ice of Hoth. Ahsoka exploits his blind spots by slashing at the life support panel on his chest, while Obi-Wan targets the joints of his cybernetic legs. Anakin sees the openings created by the others and goes for the weapon itself. He uses a Djem So disarming maneuver to twist his blade and wrench the red lightsaber from Vader's grip. The weapon flies into a snowbank. Vader stands unarmed and surrounded by 3 blue blades humming at his throat. The wind is the only sound in the sudden silence. Vader looks at the 3 of them to see pity in Obi-Wan's eyes, alongside Ahsoka's confusion and Anakin's horror. He cannot bear it. The victory of the light side here is a rejection of his entire existence, even within a vision. Vader screams and releases a shockwave of pure force energy that shatters the ice beneath them. The sheer power of his denial destabilizes the ritual and causes the cavern to collapse. The images of Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka flicker like a failing hologram. They were never fully there, but were manifestations of his own fractured mind and the Force's memory. The figures speak their final words as the vision dissolves. Obi-Wan looks sadly at the monster and tells him he has done this himself. Ahsoka simply turns away and refuses to acknowledge him. But Anakin steps closer as the memory of the man he was. He looks directly into the black lenses of the helmet. The vision tells Vader that he didn't kill him, but just forgot who he was. The Vergence closes with a crack of thunder. The blue blades vanish. The presence of the light side is ripped away and leaves only the freezing cold and the dark. Darth Vader stands alone in the wreckage of the ice cave. His breathing is heavy, and the mechanical respirator struggles in the thin, freezing air. He retrieves his lightsaber from the snow. The lesson he sought was to prove his strength and confirm that Vader had conquered Skywalker. The Force instead showed him the truth, that his past united is stronger than his present. He is not a conqueror here, but a survivor of his own choices. The cold of Hoth seeps into his armor, but pales in comparison to the cold he feels in the Force. He turns and walks back toward the surface, leaving the shattered crystals behind. This outcome aligns with established lore. Vader possesses more raw power in his prime than any single Jedi, but he is structurally weak against this specific trio. Obi-Wan's defensive mastery has always been Vader's greatest weakness because it forces him to overextend. Ahsoka's agility exploits the limitations of his cybernetics. Anakin represents the potential he threw away. Battles in Star Wars are rarely decided by raw strength alone, but by conviction. The conviction of the light and the desire to protect one another outweighed Vader's self-destructive hatred in this scenario. Even the dark side cannot grant victory to a man fighting against himself. Hoth serves as the ideal setting for this encounter. It represents the rebellion's desperation in The Empire Strikes Back, But for Vader, it represents his hollow victory. He routed the rebels, yet Luke escaped. He summoned his ghosts, yet they defeated him morally. The ice preserves things and keeps them frozen in time, just as Vader is frozen in the moment of his fall. This hypothetical duel highlights the tragedy of the Skywalker saga, that the only person who could ever truly defeat Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker. That is exactly what happened in the end on the second Death Star. We often wonder about hypothetical scenarios to see spectacular duels, but the answers usually reveal character truths. Vader's command on Hoth would not end in a massacre of his enemies, but in a revelation of his own failure. He is the most powerful Sith of his era, yet he remains the slave of his own choices. The ice of Hoth melts, but the scars of the dark side remain.